we learned or what we wanted to say about TRAIECT still. So today I welcome Emanuele Grossi, I welcome Julian Harley, and I welcome Tuiha, if that's, yeah. I would like to start with Emanuele, if that's okay with you. To introduce you a little bit, you studied originally classical guitar, but then now switched to composing. Since 2020 you are studying here at the music high school, and now you are having an Erasmus semester in Paris. Yeah.
Yes, like you said, I originally started with classical guitar since a long time. I was a kid. I did my study in Italy, I graduated, I did my master there. I was trying to, since my teacher and my school was quite traditional, I was always striving to do more contemporary repertoire, even if my master was in 20th century music. At the end of my study and after, I was trying to experiment with other artists, art forms and musical expressions, so from pop to electronic music, not having much results in that. So there was a point in which I decided to try it and to apply for composition, and I applied and I got a place here in Hannover, and since then, it proceeded, and now for this year I will be in the conservatoire in Paris and then finish my study and then see what happens.
So you actually started as an instrumentalist. Now, which instruments are you writing for in this TRAIECT?
So I write for Lean, so as Hadao or Kachu singing. Yeah, that's the answer.
So you're not writing for a string instrument in this case, but you decided for the voice.
I have a passion for putting myself in the hardest situation possible. Okay. So the string instrument was quite too familiar to me, and of course what wasn't familiar was this kind of tradition, this kind of singing, this technique. This is completely different also from Western singing. At the point that in the first workshop seemed to me completely alien. But at the same time, so easy to understand, like the kind of emotion and the kind of atmosphere that Lin was able to induce in the audience, even not understanding the text, even not being part of that culture. I think all of us were in the workshop had a strong emotional response to her performances and the history of Adao, and so that was my choice.
So from the elements that you were shown, which one did you pick up, or which one did you play with in your piece? Which one did you integrate into your composition?
I started, like for me was important from the beginning, since I was fascinated with the history and how Kachu developed, and how is an oral tradition, how there is like a tradition of old master that teach and decide to whom to teach, and and as Lin explained to me, it's not easy to be taught by a master. You have to follow them, to be trusted by them, and then you can go on with this tradition. For me, it was important. I wanted to work or to try to recreate a situation in which we have a sense, like a sense of past and of tradition that develops So for me, the base was the repertoire of Kachuk.
Okay.
So my work was learning with Lynn, asking her about the repertoire, choosing for the meaning, and also like the time period in which the songs were composed, and thematics, and of course the melody and rhythmical aspect of these songs. And then I was trying to modify them, not to write something completely from new, but almost having a sort of a process of modification, elaboration of the original repertoire. But all the material that Lynn sings is taken from repertoire of Kachuk when I was singing.
So you, from the technical side, that is what you picked up from the tradition. What else did you want to express with your piece? Is there a theme? What is your...
Yes, the theme is the passing of time, like the continuation of a tradition, and the presence in the tradition now of everyone who sang Kachuk. Because being a direct, not being a written tradition, being only our oral tradition, every step has the experience of all the masters that comes before the actual one. Of course, everyone gives something new to the. It's the same that happens with our music, like the history of performance. Also in Western music, there is a history that goes, and Bach wasn't performed like the same in the ages. And so I wanted to try to give this sensation, and then a lot is worked on time. So the strongest modification are in time. So I jump from different songs, so interrupting almost the discourse. I asked Lynn to sing with different speeds, for example, like a sort of in the score it looks like Etude Studien have from Stockhausen, so there is a timeline and she has to go faster or slower, extremely faster or extremely slower, starting with a song that she already knows very well. There is a lot of echo and repetition. That's the basic of the musical material.
Okay. We would like to, at this point already, ask you if you have some questions and towards Emanuele's composition. Then yes.
So you were in the very enviable position of working with Lynn in person in Vietnam. So I'm curious to know, because for some reason I haven't asked you yet, how did your plan for the piece, or how did the piece change before and after spending this quality time?
Yeah, maybe first of all I decided to go because I wasn't feeling, since this was my first idea, I wasn't feeling comfortable enough to write at that point. So that was the idea, and when I was starting to study the material, for me it wasn't enough. There is not a lot of documentation about this genre of music in Western literature. So I decided to go there, and there it was completely different because first of all Lynn was incredibly hospitable with me, so I was going at their place, she and her husband were playing for me, and of course it's hard to say how it changed. I think the piece is built from this experience, like everything that I decided to put inside comes from those meetings and the meeting that I had with other artists in Vietnam, that where we were talking about traditional music, and they were helping me translating some of the texts, because some of the texts come from 1,000 years ago and they are in a language that is not anymore spoken. So I had to meet people who were in contact with experts in this old Sino-Vietnamese language, and we were talking about, okay, what's the meaning of this, where it comes from, what are the images and metaphors about. That was all a work that were completely parallel with my writing. Before there was an idea, I was setting up a bit the electronic while I was working on the electronic, but there was not material yet.
As you said, you went deeply into some texts. Can you describe, or the question is, in which way was it important for you to select texts, to know exactly, as you said, about these translations, which are not easy, the text, was it, for instance, just sounding phonetic material, or was the meaning of the text in any way important for your composition?
I was delighted to find out that the two things were together, because as every good song in those, and they are usually good because they survive for 1,000 years, some of them. So the text and the musical material are very deeply connected. So that I selected texts that had to do principally with the act of music. So at the beginning there is an invitation almost. She starts to tune the lute and sing a song. There are texts that have almost absurd metaphor about time. So where the leaves that moves are in relationship with the sense of time of a woman thinking about her man going to war. So this time dilatation in the text that is also present in how I perceive the music, also in the melody used. So it was like this study let me choose these texts. So I chose the one where I felt comfortable to have the meaning and the music going toward the direction I wanted to have. And for me, since I was using, I decided to do that. For me, I mean, the meaning sometimes is distorted because of what I do with the texts, but it is still, I think this distortion of, okay, for us, for the majority of you is not understandable, but for someone who comes from Vietnam, is still perceivable in a certain way.
You said that I see that you also work very closely with the traditional roots and then really going into Vietnam to dive deep into the theme. How is your score looking like? Does it have a lot of freedom, a lot of improvisations, or do you have it fixed, or how is it and how does it connect also?
So the score is text-based for Lin to know which of the pieces are used, and there are modifications about this. So for example, there is a part where there are 3 songs and there are possible ways to jump from lyric to another one. So she changed with the lyric, but of course also with the melody connected to the lyric. there are other parts that are perfectly notated. So I did the spectral analysis of the voice of Lynn singing some extract of music. I find out a way to transcribe it that looks a little bit like pneumatic music, pneumatic writing, but with the addition, for example, of the vibrato lines, and I added there my own. So she learned to sing this music because first it was a transcription of something that she already knew, so it was easy to understand what it is, and so I could modify that, and then she understood quite fast what she had to do because learning from what was already in her background. So there is flexibility in different parts of the piece.
Yeah, when you compose your piece, I heard that there are some different parts in your piece. So in each part, you cut the sentence of each in several repertoire of the culture. And how you choose them? Like you choose the melody, the same melody, or the same lyric, the same meaning of the song.
This happens in the first part of my piece, and there are three songs. The lyrics for me are somehow in the same environment. Not like as a meaning. There is also some sounds that are similar, and two of them have a very similar melody. Basically, it's the same variation of the same song with different texts. And actually, I leave to Lynn the freedom to jump from one part of the other. For me, it was like the image that I had is this kind of repetition that you do about when you learn something through only repetition, and maybe, I don't know, I imagine how it could be for Lynn to have to learn a lot of music that it has not a score, and so you have these melodies continuing going in circle in your head. So I wanted to try to achieve this kind of situation. Sometimes it's easier, sometimes it's more difficult, of course, to jump. The choice was to have something somehow similar. So there are two that are the same, and one other that has a completely different, for example, line, and then the text that could be fitting for me, or that could create strange images, because you say, it's like, I don't know, could be a yes, that you start to tune the instrument, and then you have the image of like a natural image about, and for me it could be, okay, it now is starting to sing, and this is the song that she's starting to sing, and then it comes back, and this kind of ideas.
We have another question. You work now with this, and you work now with a lot of traditional elements. Have you worked this way or with these kind of elements before, or how does this piece connect to the existing pieces that you have already written, or is that something completely new that you did here?
This was a quite unique experience, of course, given the distance traveled and distance also in the material for me. I always have a long phase of research when I start writing a piece, and I often use, sometimes in a very, very, very indirect way, notion from traditional music of other cultures or our cultures, or also past repertoire in the Western music, like a lot of. So like the part of the starting is always there, and the rest, like one of the theme of, I would say, of my composition is about the performative act of like doing music. So I like to put a spot on maybe the hardships of playing with the audience, or the process to learn a piece. I try to show it directly, like almost like a slightly break. It's not theatrical. It's in the musical material, but I try to break a little bit the fourth wall of music. So showing also like the hard times that musicians had to learn a piece and then go on stage and having people looking and expecting something great, but played in the most easy way possible. Like for me, those are themes that maybe comes from my background also.
Okay. Is there more questions at this moment? No, but piano music we have.
We ordered this piano.
That is like. Then thank you so much.
Yep.